Impact of transactions on DML statements. Introduction. The impact of transaction in DML statements module provides you with the instruction and devices to develop your hands-on skills in the following topic: demonstrating impact of transaction on DML statements. Exercise 1. Demonstrating impact of transaction on DML statements. A transaction is a set of SQL statements that performs one or more tasks in a logical order. Execution of transaction statements result in the data in the database being changed. Considered a scenario where you are inserting or updating one or more records in a table. The set of statements used to perform this task is considered to be transaction. The transaction inserts or updates records in table, thereby permanently changing the records in the database. The syntax to include a set of statements as a part of transaction is as follows. A transaction ends with the following statements. Rollback. It erases all the data modifications from the beginning of the transaction to the end or up to the last save statement in the transaction. Commit. It makes all the data modifications from the beginning of the transaction to the end a permanent part of the database. You can place multiple transaction statements in a nested format with the help of TranCount system. That a TranCount function records the nesting level of the currency transaction. Each begin transaction increments a function by 1. Each comment transaction decrements the count by 1. You can also include the transaction in the try-catch block. The try-catch block has two parts, namely a try block and a catch block. The transaction statements that might cause error conditions are placed inside the try block. The error processing code is placed inside the catch block. When SQL Server detects an error condition inside the try block, it transfers the control to the first statement inside the associated catch block. After all the statements inside the catch block are executed, the system transfers the control to the first statement. After the end catch statement, the syntax to use the try-catch block is as follows. In this exercise, you will use the transaction statements to observe the impact of transaction on DML statements. Please refer to your course material or use your prepared search engine to research this topic in more detail. Task 1. Test the impact of transaction on DML statements. In this task, you will create a copy of fact internet sales table and insert records into the table fact internet sales test. You will use the records in fact internet sales test table to test the impact of transaction on DML statements. Step 1. Ensure you have powered on the required devices and connect to FlabSQL 1 when already connected. Step 2. From the FlabSQL desktop, click Start and click Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. The Connect to Server dialog box appears. From the server type drop-down list, click Database Engine. In the server name text box, type FlabSQL1, then click Connect. Step 3. The SQL Server Management Studio window opens. In the Object Explorer, click to expand database. Then step 4. To select the database from the list of the databases, click AdventureWorks DW2016 CTP3. To create a new query, from the Query ribbon, click New Query. Step 5. The new query pane opens. Step 6. To create a copy of the fact internet sales table and insert records, type the following query in the new query pane. Let's copy it and paste. This query creates a table named fact internet sales test and inserts records from the fact internet sales table. Only those records that have the order date as 2010-12-29 is inserted from the fact internet sales table to the fact internet test table. Step 7. To run the query, click Execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Step 8. To create a new query, from the Query ribbon, click New Query. Then to display records of the fact internet sales test table, type the following query in the new query pane. Let's copy it, then paste. This query retrieves all the records from the fact internet sales test table. Step 9. To run the query, click Execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Step 10. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click the new query. To use the rollback statement to undo a delete, type the following query in the new query pane. Copy, then paste. This query uses a transaction to delete records from the fact internet sales test table and then roll back the deletion operation. The delete statement in the transaction deletes the record that has the product key as 310. The rollback run statement rolls back the delete statement. As a result, the records retained in the fact internet sales table. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Step 12. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click new query. To check whether the record is actually deleted from the fact internet sales test table, type the following query in the new query pane. Let's copy, then paste it here. This query retrieves the record with the product key equal to 310 from the fact internet sales test table. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Step 13. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click new query. Then to use the commit trans statement so that the deletion operation is applied on the fact internet sales test table, type the following query in the new query pane. Let's copy it, then paste it. This query uses a transactions to delete records from the fact internet sales test table and then commit save the deletion operation. The delete statement in the transaction deletes the record that has the product key as 310. The commit trans statement applies the delete operation on the table. As a result, the records are deleted from the fact internet sales test table. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Step 14. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click new query. To check whether the record is actually deleted from the fact internet sales test table, type the following query in the new query pane. Let's copy it. First, let's create the new query, then paste. This query retrieves the records with the product key equal to 310 from the fact internet sales test table. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Task 2. Include transaction in a try-catch block. In this task, you will include transaction in a try-catch block. You will observe and display the impact of error in a transaction statement using the try-catch block. Step 1. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click new query. To include transaction in a try-catch block, type the following query in the new query pane. Let's copy it. Then paste it here. This query includes transaction in the try-catch block. An update statement is used in the transaction to set the order date key field as null for records where the customer key is equal to 28389. The commit run statement is added to apply the update operation on the table. The catch block prints error message in case the try block throws an error. It also rolls back the transaction so that no changes are made to the table. Step 2. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. However, I cannot insert the value null into column order date key. Exception is the thrown since the order date key field in the fact internet sales test table does not allow null values. Hence, the update fails. The catch block catches the error and then displays the error number and the error message in the results tab. Excuse me. Step 3. To create a new query from the query ribbon, click new query. To display a record where customer key is 28389, type the following query in the new query pane. Let's copy it, then paste it here. This query uses the select statement to retrieve the records from the fact internet sales test table where customer K is equal to 28,389. Step 4. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Task 3. Use nested transactions. In this task, you will use nested transactions with the tran count function. Step 1. Create a new query. Then to use nesting transactions with tran count function, type the following query in the new query pane. Just copy the code, then paste it here. This query performs a nested transaction on the fact internet sales test table. The first transaction deletes the record in which customer K is 28,389 and then retrieves the value of tran count. The second transaction deletes the record in which customer K is 14,501 and then retrieves the value of tran count. The transaction T2 is then committed and the value of tran count is retrieved. Finally, the transaction is rolled back and then the value of tran count is retrieved. After this, the fact internet sales test table is queried for the records where the customer K is 14,501 or 28,389 in this transaction. Although transaction T2 is committed, the database is not updated. To run the query, click execute or press F5. The query runs successfully and the result set is displayed. Then close all active windows. Next, we covered the following activity in this module. This is demonstrating impact of transaction on DML statements. Done.